Okay, everyone, welcome back to Blockchain Build Day. Next up for session 4, I believe, we have the famous Justin Breen, CEO of Justin Breen Designs, with the secret to branding, blockchain, and crypto tech. So I'm going to stop screen sharing right now, and you should be able to share your screen with the audience now, Justin. Thank you.
Hey guys, how's it going? So, my name is Justin Breen and I craft brands that tell your story. Today I'm going to be talking about the number one reason that most companies will fail in the blockchain. So, a bit about my background. For 14 years, I was a motion graphics artist, worked with companies like Coca-Cola, AT&T, Aramark, Wendy's, etc., rolling out their new product launches and working directly with their branding departments to maintain the standards of their brand. 3 years ago, I transitioned my motion graphics and visual effects company into a branding firm that specializes in design and strategy. So I moved to Puerto Rico 18 months ago to help some of the companies down here emerging in the blockchain space. There are a lot of amazing projects, some really smart people doing some really cool things, but their branding just isn't really doing them any favors, and they're struggling to gain new users and investors. Right now, there are literally thousands of companies in the blockchain space. Everything from cryptocurrency and digital identity solutions to supply chain management, gambling, ticketing, digital ownership, and even voting. So how do these companies rise above the noise while so many others fail to compete? So like many of the startup companies down here in Puerto Rico, you've probably designed this amazing, awesome, potentially world-changing solution that can help a ton of people and also make you a ton of money. Awesome. Right now, not many people outside of you and your team, A, see your potential, and B, actually care. How do you get other people invested enough in what you've built, enough to help you bridge the brand gap and help you grow your community of users? Right now, the market is absolutely flooded with new ideas. With blockchain technology in its very early stages, it's challenging without hundreds of thousands of dollars to throw at a marketing agency or influencers to actually get people excited about your brand. So what sets you apart? I'll be the first to tell you, it's not your world-changing solution. If this were true, then Dogecoin wouldn't have a $250 million market cap, while other companies that are actually have the potential to change humanity, companies that are trying to map the stars or cure cancer, are struggling to find investors. What sets you apart is your ability to directly connect with your consumer through your brand. Marty Neumeier, the father of modern branding and the reason for the creation of the title, the Chief Branding Officer, said this about branding. A brand is the gut reaction that someone gets about a product or service whenever they, sorry about that, guys. A brand is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or organization. So if I say McDonald's, Lamborghini, Chips Ahoy, or Walmart, you automatically get certain images that pop into your head. Even with Coca-Cola being literally the most widely recognized brand on the planet, they still spend billions of dollars every year across multiple agencies to maintain their brand and keep their presence in the forefront of people's awareness. So how does branding fit into your ideal world of a blockchain-powered future? How are you planning to rise above the noise? Does your team understand your fundamental purpose behind what you do, beyond just profitability? Is it easily communicable what you do and what service you provide to an 18-year-old? What about an 80-year-old? After 2017, investors and customers are highly skeptical of new blockchain projects. It takes a lot more than a clever name and a Twitter handle and a promise of something that you might do to actually capture people's attentions. Success depends far less on the features that you build into your product and more about the meaning that you build into it. The best brands have a story to tell, a real reason, hopefully multiple, that people not only care, but they become brand ambassadors and brand champions, and they truly resonate with the messaging behind your company. They help you grow your brand outside of your personal marketing campaigns. So what is a brand? What is not a brand? A brand is not your logo. a brand is not your website, and a brand is not your product. Managing your brand is not just creating your blockchain solution and then you're done with it. Yes, these are all part of it, but it's definitely not the whole. It's your logo, your story, your website, your social presence, your video content, your messaging, your infographics, et cetera, et cetera. It's literally all of the ways that your company behaves online and off. What a brand actually is, it's a conversation between you and the consumer. This right here is what 95% of the companies in the blockchain space are failing to account for, branding directly for their consumer. When a company brands specifically for their consumer or customer, they have a clear direction and focus on who to target and why. Not only does this help direct marketing strategies moving forward, but it helps maintain the community culture, and it puts a filter layer between what your ideas of how you think the brand should be and what your actual customer wants in your product. Companies that do careful market testing have a better handle on how their customers view their products and are able to pivot accordingly when they receive negative feedback. Alternatively, if you have 50 features that you offer, but the only thing that your customers really care about is that it's pink, then you go hamness on the pinkness of your product. This should be your main marketing focus point. Your job as a brand is to find out what your customers want and give it to them. So you start by creating two potential customers: your ideal champion customer that will help you build your brand, and then your ideal everyday customer that will be your largest demographic that you market to. Give them full background stories, fictional made-up lives. Where do they go to college? Are they married? If they have kids, if they're 43 and were divorced at 38, what have they been doing with their life for the past 5 years? The more detailed and granular you can get about this fictional person, the better. This helps you find this person's innermost wants and needs. Yes, they want a digital wallet that's easy to use and keeps their coins safe. But at their core, they want and they need security and trust. Yes, they want to use their idle computer to help crunch computational numbers for a research project with other global users. But at their core, they want to feel connected, feel like they're giving a service to humanity. The practice of understanding your target audience, the words they use, the benefits they enjoy, and why they use your product or service helps you create content that actually connects. Once you determine their underlying values, why they buy, and the qualities they value in a company, your strategies that you employ become a lot more clear. So there are 3 questions that people ask before they buy. Who are you? What do you do? And why do I care? What's in it for me? The key to new customer acquisition is answering all 3 of these questions quickly, simply, and with great aesthetic beauty. If it isn't clear who you are and what you do, it's damn near impossible to get somebody to care, much less to buy or invest. So the first 2 can be actually summarized in the know, like, and trust factor. The know, like, and trust factor is one of the primary driving factors in why people make decisions. The first obstacle is know. How do you get somebody to know your brand? You start by building a library of content that they can find you through. Your content is literally everything that you put out that is consumer facing. Every new piece of content that you create is another clickable link to funnel them directly to your brand. After COVID, people are literally online consuming more content than ever before. Ideally, this is the perfect time to build a new brand. Creating content at scale that resonates with the most amount of people in your target audience is the fastest way to carve out your slice of the blockchain pie. When you create content that establishes you an authority in your space, and don't be dry or preachy. If you have a unique solution to a problem, give it a unique name. Then people start associating that feature with your actual brand. It starts begin to build a community culture around your product, and when people search for that term, they find your brand very easily. Think smart contracts for Ethereum. Always read the comments on everything that you produce and take your customers' feedback directly to heart. Research, ask questions, be genuine, and follow up to ensure that you're creating content that your target niche actually wants to consume. However, every company has trolls, so always be mindful of your responses and maintain your brand overall. So some examples of content that you can do. You can actually create a blog or a podcast where you bring on guests each week and ask them a set of questions. It should have a unique theme and have a reason for people to actually get invested. Think hot ones, where celebrities are asked questions while eating hot wings and increasing spice levels, or comedians in cars getting coffee. It doesn't have to be food related, but that's something that people outside of tech relate to as well, and it helps bring in a new audience to help know your brand. Maybe it's Shots with Steve, and you have a developer guy named Steve interviewing other prominent developers, CEOs, and influencers in the space. For every question, they take a shot together of different brands of rum or shots that are made specifically for the show. By the end of the interview, I'm sure you're going to have some very funny and interesting answers. And this also opens up partnerships with beverage companies when you start to get a little traction. If the interviews are good, maybe some free cross promotion on their platform to their already established communities. Content doesn't have to be all recorded video. Infographics, GIFs, motion graphics explainer videos, blog posts, and well-written articles help you grow your library of content with a whole lot less effort. This is where the base layer of your brand comes back into focus. When your brand pillars are solid, you have a clear and strong foundation to build your content on. When your messaging stays on point, and complex concepts become easier to understand by using visual guides and simple language. So let's talk about brand pillars for a second. Your brand pillars make up the architecture of your brand. They start with how you think, your motive for existing. This is where you define your mission, your values, your story, your solution, and your vision. Once you have these strong base layers and a good foundation for why you do what you do, it's easier to find team members and community members that truly resonate with your company. The next layer is how you sound, how you look and sound, your brand's personality, and how you interact with your customers. This includes defining your key marketing words that set you apart from your competition. This is where you define the culture that you foster inside and out of your brand. Are you a fun, edgy, blockchain-based gaming platform? Does your brand need to appear more corporate and trustworthy? Are you a personable and friendly? Or does your brand use language that implies spontaneous, high-energy actions that keep your customers engaged? Do you come across as more careful thinking and meticulous with how you plan to reach each milestone? It's also helpful to define a potential celebrity partner that might champion your company because their goals align with yours. Then you can picture them saying words and phrases around your brand and incorporate that into your marketing strategies. Your logo, website, UI, the colors, fonts, textures, imagery, etc., is all how your customers view you. It's your reputation. It's all driven by your motive layer and by your target user profiles. Creating a robust, synergistic story inspired by a visual system that carries across your entire brand is what helps you stand out in the overpopulated blockchain arena. The top layer of the brand architecture is your prestige layer. It's how your customers view you. The reputation that you build in every extension of your brand, the social media outlets, the help chats, the internal emails, the video content, etc. When they all follow a cohesive framework that defines your brand as a whole, this layer is what helps develop the trust factor between you and your consumer. An example of how messaging will fail you is our governor down here in Puerto Rico literally was ousted because of 890 something pages of a WhatsApp chat. Everybody knew that he was corrupt, but it took that smoking gun to ruin his reputation, to ruin his prestige, and absolutely wreck his brand. And 2 weeks later, he was out of office. So a great way to begin developing the trust factor is by providing a valuable free product. Find out what keeps your audience up at night regarding your sector and create a short ebook, special report, etc. that they can download. Not to sell your product, but just to provide actual value to your consumer. So now that you've determined who you are and what you do, finding people that care is a much more straightforward process when you're able to directly speak to who they are as a person and what they want and value at their deepest levels. Ideally, 30 to 40% of your entire budget would be to grow your brand through content creation, market testing, ad spend, and fostering brand awareness through innovative campaigns designed to tell your story to the right people. Building a successful blockchain brand in 2020 is about knowing your story and knowing who will care. Marketing strategies based around anything else are just a shot in the dark and a complete waste of capital. Find your purpose, tell your story, engage your audience, and maintain consistency. These are the keys to successful branding for blockchain companies in 2020. Guys, that was a presentation. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. I know that we're kind of light on the chat today. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Justin. So I was actually hoping that you could say a couple words on getting started with producing content. I know that for me, I've tried to, over the last couple months, mostly just, during this whole crisis, to ramp up how much content I'm producing, specifically on LinkedIn. And I was wondering if you had any tips on specifically video content. I know for a lot of people who are just starting, myself included, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking producing regular video content on LinkedIn and other platforms. Thank you.
Sure. So it's basically once you have your target audience, LinkedIn marketing is so easy. Like you can get super granular. You can say, I want a 46-year-old female that lives in this neighborhood that works at this job. Like you can get super granular with your marketing strategies on LinkedIn. And once you have a content that works, when you're directly connecting to people at scale, then you go in and you ask, hey, are you a 42-year-old lady living in there, and it gives them something to connect with. And then you record again, hey, are you a 43-year-old lady living in, you basically just you connect with your target audience, and it's not about creating 80,000 different pieces of content, but you create 80,000 pieces of content that are all the same but targeted more specifically, right? As far as getting started on what to record anything. Again, it goes back to that providing value. If you really recognize that there's an issue and you're trying to reach out to people, find out what their problem is, create a video about it, even if it has nothing to do with your actual business. If I'm trying to market to CMOs in the blockchain space, living in Portland, right? I don't know how many there are, but I would get really granular about that, and I would find out if there's a meetup for them to go to. Find out what CMOs are really needing right now, and then if you have a solution to it, record it. Even if you don't have a solution to it, find 5 CMOs that you want the solution to and interview them. Ask them their solutions. Basically just create. The more you create, the more links you create, the better it's going to be for your overall brand.
And it seems like finding that one valuable free product that you recycle in your content and provide to people just to create initial value, it's almost like a form of like product market fit discovery, trying to figure out what exactly that super valuable product's going to be. So if you create a bunch of content, you can just kind of like test things out and see what that most valuable thing is. Am I interpreting that correct?
100%. The more you can market test, the more you can do A/B user testing. Create several landing pages that literally lead to your site, but all are directed at different campaigns. The more campaigns that you can run, the more content that you can put out there. Like say you run the same video, but you give it 7 different headers or whatever, right? Like you give it 7 different thumbnail images, and you see which one does the best, and you run them all on a slightly smaller scale. Maybe you have a group of 50 people that are really your ideal champion customers, that they know that they're in a testing group, and they know that they're being tested against, and let them just give you feedback. If they really want to grow your brand with you, and they really resonate with your brand, it's really easy to maybe all 50 of them don't give you feedback, but maybe 5 of them give you feedback. a whole lot more feedback than no feedback, right?
Definitely. Awesome. Well,
Hey, I have actually one quick question for Justin.
yeah.
So regarding like marketing on like social media, like in the past, I've tried marketing like my company or my podcast through like Instagram and mediums like that. And there were like a lot of keywords that were restricted that would like prevent me from running ads or marketing what I'm doing. Do you know if those restrictions are still in place for keywords like Ethereum or Bitcoin or crypto or blockchain, or if they've kind of loosened some of those restrictions?
As far as I know, bud, like they were really, really strict about that because they were just trying to launch their own stuff, you know. Um, I really am not, I'm not totally sure if there are restrictions have eased up. Maybe it's you run an ad that doesn't mention anything about, you know, cryptocurrency. Maybe you find another digital money, you know, you find another word that resonates that still funnels people to your actual site, your actual brand. Um, yeah, I'm not sure about that, but
Okay, no worries. Just curious.
Was just figuring out how to unmute myself there. Okay, so in the last 5 minutes, Justin, I was hoping you could say a few words on kind of what you do at Justin Breen Designs and how you can help people refine their blockchain and crypto companies' brand strategy.
Sure. So it starts off with a a really long uh, conversation. I get to know a little bit about your brand, what strategies you're currently employing. Um, when we move on from that, I definitely we start crafting the brand pillars, in which we get those involved in that really long call. Usually the call it took about 8 hours, and I managed to get it down to about 2.5, 3. But it's a whole bunch of amazing questions that just lead you on a journey on discovering what your brand is, who you should market to. We get really granular in that um, target user section. That takes about 30, 45 minutes all in itself. But once you have those, those two target users, then it's so much easier moving forward to get some good strategies and yeah, just basically marketing strategies, brand strategies, how to maintain your brand overall, what kind of words you use that set you apart from your competitors, et cetera. And then after we get that, it's a logo. Then you get your website created, and then if you already have these things, then we review and see, if you're not getting the kind of reach that you're not getting right now, why? Um, what can we do to alter minor tweaks versus a major rebrand? There's, just because you're not getting the eyes on your brand that you would like, it doesn't mean that you're creating bad content. It doesn't mean that you have a bad brand. It just means you're not figuring out the right way to market to the right people. So yeah, that's once you figure who will care, which is basically what we do in that first original meeting, then everything else is directed.